Hello guys, Kenneth Unaje here at Proculus Trading, and in this short video today, I'll be showing you how to properly identify support and resistance zone on a chart. There are usually a lot of ambiguity about how to plot support and resistance coming from different mentors, okay? But today I'm going to show you a key hack on how to identify a highly ranking support and resistance zone. So stay tuned and follow everything I do on this chart, okay? So with me right here is the Euro USD chart, okay? And so when you get the chart like this, the first thing you want to do, okay, is to convert this chart, convert your candlestick to a line chart by just clicking on the line chart here. So that's the first step, all right? And the next thing you want to do is now to pick up your line tool, okay? This is my line tool here, and I'm going to mark out the most obvious points on the charts, all right? Like I mentioned in our first lecture about support and resistance, I must always learn to identify points that actually point at you, that actually poking at you, that are very, very obvious on the charts. Okay, so for me, number one here, the first point actually looking at me here is this point right here. Why did I identify this point right here? Okay, now this is what I have. You can see that I have a valley here, I have a peak here, I have another peak here. Okay, and there's something very close around here also. Okay, so that's the first step. All right, I picked the most obvious point that is actually, looking very obvious to me. All right, so if I'm to remove this annotation, all right, then the next point I want to pick on my chart, okay, is going to be this point up here. All right, so you can see that price actually had multiple touches on this line right here. So don't forget that what you want to do is to always look for points also have multiple touches. All right, it makes the zone more valid. All right, so why do I pick that zone? I'm going to identify this. All right, so this is it here. We have this point here, and then we have these points here. Even though price did a little bit of shaking in this point here, all right, we're going to identify that point. Okay, so I'm going to clean out that point, and then also the next point I'm looking at right now on the chart is this point right here. Okay, where there are many bounces off this line here. Okay, so I'm going to identify the points. Okay, so we have this here, we have this here, we have this here, and we also have this here also, and then we have this here. This is about 5 points on the same line. Okay, so now after having that out of the way, all right, what you now want to look at is this. Okay, now you also want to look at, the direction of the market. All right, I'm not going to be talking about much about direction of the market. That will come in our market structure course coming up very soon. All right, so now you can see that the market actually gave us a push to the upside here, and then we did this, we had this, we had this, and then we had something like this, and then now the market is going downwards. All right, this is what to call an M pattern. All right, and we can see that price is actually giving us market structure shifts to the downside, and there's a break of structure, but this is just temporal. Okay, now I'm just trying to show you how to identify very potent support and resistance zone, but the details of structure as price structure, all right, we better analyze in a future video. All right, so now after number one, making your candlestick a line chart, and then now you now identify your zone, another thing you want to do is now you go back to change it back to the candlesticks. All right, now you can see that price have actually been bouncing off this zone. Okay, you can see the wicks and body candle bodies that are actually going up and down, up and down. All right, you can see at this point here, this is a support. This is actually a support zone right here, and then it became resistance here. It became resistance here also. All right, and then we can see the whole of this place are just resistance, resistance, resistance. Okay, then we can see here support, support, support here again, support here, and then we have support here. All right, so next you want to do is that you want to now go to your annotation tool, the annotation tool called the box tool. All right, so I'm going to bring up my toolbox here. This is my toolbox up here. And then now I'm going to pick this tool right here. Can you see this tool? I'm going to pick this rectangular tool right here. All right, and then I'm just going to take this down. Okay, so I'm just going to mark out some arbitrary zones. All right, I'll just mark out some zones. That's, we have a zone right here. Okay, now I'm just going to duplicate this rectangular box, and then we bring the next zone right here, and then we bring the next zone right here. Now I want you to pay attention to something. Okay, you can see that I just drew these boxes, and I drew these boxes, and then I just moved the boxes to the points that where we have the red lines, which are the support and resistance lines. Okay, because we're not trying to make it support and resistance. So remember, in our last class we spoke about lines becoming zones. Okay, that's actually what is involved right now. Okay, and support and resistance zone make more sense than support and resistance lines, because price support and resistance areas are not, it's not a perfect line on the chart. Okay, it's a zone and an area where price actually reacts on, because for instance, at this point right here, okay, we have many sellers coming into the market at different level here. We have many sellers coming into the market at different level right here. So that's what makes the whole of this place a zone or an area. Same thing applicable with this place here, and also same thing applicable with this place right here. So that's how we actually identify them as zone. Now back to the matter. Okay, now you can see that I just made some boxes, I just shifted some boxes, but now where do this box actually end? Okay, do I draw them to go the whole of this height here, or or do I make it this big? Do I make it this tiny? Do I make it to cover the whole of this area? So those are the questions I got from some of my students, at least those have been following me, and they've been asking that, okay, sir, how do we actually identify the proper size of the support and resistance area? Okay, now this is the trick. This is the trick. Okay, yes, we've not spoken about supply and demand yet. That's going to come up in a future video, but I'm going to give you a little hint on supply and demand in this video. What am I trying to say? If you are going to identify your support and resistance area, you have to have a little idea about supply and demand. All right, and this way it comes in handy. It's going to help you to identify the exact area where you should place these rectangles, these areas of support and resistance. Okay, so now basically a support and resistance zone is actually a zone where you have an impulse movement from. Okay, that's, you have price having a strong impulse coming from that point, and then now forming something like a trough or a valley. Okay, or a peak or a valley, one of these. Right, so what do I mean? Now you want to look at where we have strong impulse, where price left those zones with strong impulse. Okay, so that's just the basics of support of supply and demand. All right, supply and demand, support and resistance are not the same thing. Okay, but now you have to bring in your knowledge of supply and demand if you are going to get these areas more accurately. Okay, so now I'm going to duplicate this again and bring it up here. Now, did I just arbitrarily place this here? No. Now, by experience, no one taught me this. Okay, it was from experience I got to understand what I'm trying to show you right here. Okay, now look at this. I actually said that supply and demand are areas where price left with strong impulse, right? Now you look at the chart. Where are the impulsive points or the impulsive moves on this chart? You want to agree with me that this is a very large impulsive move. Okay, all right. This right here is another impulsive move. Okay, this right here is another impulsive move. Okay, and then we also have another impulsive move right here. You want to look for areas where price actually had very, very strong reactions from. Okay, so now that I understand what an impulsive move is, all right, now we'll now go to the origin of those moves. All right, now for instance, if I'm to take out this impulsive move right here, I'm going to go to the origin of this move. All right, now I'm trying to validate the best area for this supply, for this resistance zone. Okay, how do I validate that area? Now that we've identified that this is a very strong impulse, okay, I'm going to take out this. All right, and then now I'm going to look for the origin of this move. All right, now the origin of this move is right here. Okay, so what you want to do is that you want to look for the last candle before that impulse. Okay, you want to look for the last candle before that impulse. So the last candle here is going to be this guy right here, this 50% buy candle. All right, so what you want to do now is that you mark the high of that candle and then the low of that candle. So now that will now give you a range. All right. So now you can start this supply and demand zone actually fell in this area here. All right. That's actually a supply zone. It fell in that area. So I'm gonna mark that point. So that will now give me my range. It will give me my range for that resistance area. So that's just between up here and up here. So now this helped me to identify how big or how small my my support and resistance area is going to be. All right. So what I'll now do is that I'm gonna tap on this rectangular box and then adjust it to fit into this candle. Just cover this candle right here. Can you see that? Okay. So now this gives me a very good area of support and resistance. All right. And then I'm gonna come. The next place is gonna be this. I'm gonna look for this. Let's try and validate this move to this zone together. All right. What are we going to do? We're going to now go to there. We have this impulsive move. Can you see this impulsive move here? All right. So I'm just going to come and mark this zone right here. Can you see this candle here? All right. Can we see this? Just here and here. This candle, this last bearish candle before the bullish impulsive move. All right. So I'm gonna clean this, and then now this candle here, I'm gonna tap on this rectangular tool or adjust it to just come into that place there, just right there. Okay. You can see that I still cover the area properly because I still have this touch here. I have this touch here. I have this touch here. This touch here. This touch here. This touch. Okay. But now that's zone, that's my demand zone, which I just identified now. Okay. Which is this zone right here. Have given me an idea, helped me to be able to capture a particular area where price actually reacting from. So no, I'm not just marking my areas arbitrarily. Okay. At least I'm bringing in some math and calculation into this. Okay. And this have helped me a lot over the years in trying to identify a better support and resistance. So you need to also try and improve your knowledge on supply and demand. It's going to help you to be able to identify support and resistance easily. Okay, now the thing is that I try to figure this thing out myself. I've read book PDFs and I've not come across this in all sincerity. So this is just a little hack, I used to mark out my zone, and it has helped me and those who I have advised to apply this. Now I'm advising you to go by this method. So now that's why we have an impulsive move. Okay, so the next other place we have an impulsive move is somewhere around here. I'm gonna pick up this zone right here. Okay, now I'm very skeptical about this zone. Why? Because I have too many activity in this zone here. So in fact, I'm not going to focus on this zone. All right, I'm gonna leave out this zone. Now the thing is that when I look at a zone like this and I don't see any clean body candle, all right, along here, and I see all these kind of wicks, can you see all these kind of wicks happening here? I try to stay away from this kind of zone. Okay, and I just cross it out and I leave it. All right, I leave it out totally because I don't rely on this kind of zone. So when I see this kind of zone, what I do is to sit on my hands. Okay, I try to fold my hands. I fold my fingers like this so that I don't get tempted. So what I do is that I try to avoid this zone totally. Okay, I consider this zone a no-go area. So because there are a lot of activities, a lot of weak, I'm not getting any definitive, I'm not getting any definitive supply or demand zone from that area. Okay, now you can see that initially I told you that this is actually an impulse, right? But now this is not a very valid, this is not a very good demand zone right here. Why? Because there's no definitive candle around here. Now the thing is this, what you want to do is to practice a lot. You need to back test a lot. All right, that's how you get to see these things. You start seeing patterns in the market. You start seeing ideas. You start seeing, some things that are not necessarily there before, but now that you've watched this video, you start seeing that you start having those eureka moments, okay, those light flash moments in your head, and that's how your trading keeps getting better. So guys, I hope you get some very good insights from how to draw your your support and resistance. Okay, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and also hit the notification bell. All right. So I'm Kenneth from Proculus Trading. Cheers now and have a wonderful week ahead. Bye for now.